Hello. I first of all, I titled this My Almost Me Too Moments because today has been a really challenging day for me, and I can only imagine for others as well. So if anybody needs to pass on by, please pass on by, but I feel compelled to share, and I don't exactly know why. What I will say is that when people have spoken of sexual assault, I have always considered it something at least minimum of what Dr. Ford expressed in the hearing today, where there was some type of fighting kind of thing or something like that. For me, it's different because there's not any particular person that I have not identified. Hey, Jennifer, it's not that I've identified someone as. Okay, let me just explain, and maybe you'll understand the disconnect that I'm having. Okay, when I was 11, I was a Girl Scout, and my mother told me to go down the street. She said that a certain person, she would have money for the Girl Scout cookies. I went down the street and knocked on the door, and her son, who everyone knew because he was like 6'7", 6'8", he was extremely tall. He always walked down the street. Hey, Chris. Hey, Rita. He always walked down the street, bouncing a basketball. He was kind of like the guy that people would think, he was your basketball player in, on your block, in your area, whatever. And so I went down there and I knocked on the door, and I'm 11. And I've always been rather mature looking for my age. Not that it matters, but I've always been taller and whatever else. But I had seen him since I had grown up. So I knocked on the door and I said, "Hi, so-and-so. My mom told me that your mom wanted Girl Scout cookies. Hi, Norris. And I'm here to get the money for them." Or I think my mother had given them to her and whatever, and I was to collect the money. So I stood in the door. Now, I had certain etiquette of things. I wasn't going to go inside, but so I'm at the door. I'm in the living room, and I'm waiting. And he says, "Well, hold on. My mom's not here." I was like, "Okay." And I'm standing there, and I'm waiting. And he's like, "I think she left the money here or whatever." He said, "Well, come in. Don't stand there. Come in." So I walked a little bit further. And I said, he's like, "Man, where did she put that money? I know she said she had it." And he started, how people like on countertops might have, files or letters or something. And so he starts looking and like whatever. But then he starts opening drawers that clearly have like utensils in them and other things that have, I'm 11, but I started feeling like, why are you opening the drawer with the silverware? Or he was just looking in cabinets where there were glasses. Hey, Bernice, just things. And so I just said, "You know what?" And I started backing up because I had walked like, if you walk into the living room, then the kitchen is there. I had walked over to like the middle place because he said, "Don't stand there, come here." So I had walked over to the middle. So I started walking back. I was like, "You know what? I'll just come back when your mom is home." And I got almost to the door. And so he walked over to me. He said, "Well, and then he took his hand and he put it like around my waist. And he was like, "You can just stay here with me and wait for her." And I was close to the door and I said, No, I'm just going to go and I'll come back." And so I already had my hand on the door and he was kind of pulling me, but I was like, no. And I kind of got out the door and I ran home. I ran to my mother's room and I cried, and she didn't know why. I never told her why. My mom has been transitioned and gone for 25 years. I don't know why I didn't say, so-and-so down the block, I went to get the money. When she said, "Did she have the money?" I just said, "No, she didn't." And I was in tears, and she says, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, nothing. And I don't know why I didn't tell her. My mother, hey, Nita Boo, my mother was always one who would, I don't know why I didn't say when I went down there, whatever happened. So I say this is almost, right? because I can't say he was aggressive to me. But, and I have my tissues here because I said I wasn't. But I realized fully that it could have been different in seconds, like seconds. He never did anything but reach around my waist. I knew that was an intimate touch. And so I just was like, no. And I would see him because he's always bouncing his ball. You know, he was the guy bouncing his ball down the street, you know. But I can't say that he assaulted me. So I want you to understand why I am in this mixed place, right? Because I had my hand on the door. I got back to the door. Hey, Chris. Hey, Tulani. I got back to the door. Everybody does it. So that one was totally blindsided me, right? Then there's the other time. Now, this one is more of me. And I'm at least 16, maybe 17. But my mom was a teacher, and our cousins lived with us, and we went to different schools. And so they had, like, she needed me to go pick them up. We were technically like out of school or something where my mother taught, and we went to school there. But then they, at the time, were going to school in a different school. And so she needed me to go pick them up. I had my license. And so I went to get them. What she didn't know was that a boy that I really liked, that I had talked to on the phone. Hey, Breck. Hey, Todd. I talked to him on the phone. Hadn't met him yet, because back then you could meet people over the radio. I don't know if y'all remember that. You could meet people on the radio. You know, I don't know if y'all remember that stuff. But I had my mom's car. I had never done anything like this in my life. And he was like, well, if you're coming, you know, you're going to pick up your cousin, just come by and I can meet you. That made perfect sense to my 16, 17-year-old mind. Of course, I can come by so I can meet you. So before I went to the school, I went by his house because I just wanted to meet him. Another very tall person. I knew he was tall, very tall guy, 6'5", 6'6". And so I'm standing at the door because I'm smart and I'm whatever. And I know I'm not supposed to go in the house. Hey, Rachel. And so I'm at the door. I didn't go in. But like whatever, he's like, why are you standing there? You know, so happy to meet me, right? So I walk inside the door and I said, oh, your mom is here, right? And he said, well, no, she stepped out because he told me his mom would be there. He told me that, you know. I think he lived with his mom and his grandma. He told me that she would be there. So I stepped inside the door and I was in close proximity to the door. He was like, but she's not here, but let me show you around. And I'm like, because I'm smart, I'm like, well, I'm not going. You know, I think you go in the door, the kitchen, this is the living room, the kitchen is over here, and then down this way is the hallway. And I'm like, well, I'm not going down there, but I'll at least look at his kitchen, because you couldn't see it you could see the table, where the table was, but you couldn't see. So I go, and I said, oh, okay, nice kitchen. So by the time I turn around, he's like, well, are you going to stay here with me for a minute? And I said, no, remember, I have to go get my cousin. And he's like, well, a couple of minutes just to hang out. And he's starting out, you know, hand around the waist and whatever else. So here we are again. And I'm like moving to the door. I'm inside of his house. There's nobody else in that house. I'm moving to the door. I'm moving to the door. Moving to the door. And I made it to the door. He was touching me the whole time, but I made it to the door, And I was just like, maybe another time. I got out of the door. I got out. Now, I wasn't traumatized by that. And the thing that traumatized, I think the thing for me was that I was like, you know better than to go over somebody's house. You know better. That was the part that got me. There was no way that I could tell anybody. The only thing was my cousin knew him, and he told her, your cousin came by my house before she came to get you. And because I was seen as the goody two-shoes, my cousin told my mom. Because my mom was like, what took you so long? I was like, I lied. I never lied to my mom, and I lied. I was like, nothing. It was just a lot of traffic. And my cousin was so excited to have something on me, like really bad. And she said, you're a sweet old Annie that y'all think can't do no wrong. Y'all's Annie that y'all think is all good and everything. Well, she was at Kelly's house. And you know if she was at his house, what he was doing. What she was doing. And I was like, I remember that night there was a choir practice or something. Because that's when she told her, right? When we had church that night. And being that I had grown up in the church, in that particular church, I knew every hiding place. And I actually went, and my mother was looking for me. And I went, and I hid in the nursery under a table. And I don't even know how to process what I was feeling and what I was, whatever. I realized that I had put myself in a dangerous situation for several reasons, because I had no business being there. I lied, everything. But then it was the thought of, what will my mother think? What will she think? And that I had lied to her. And I didn't know exactly what she would say or what she would do. But she asked me again, and she said, did you go wherever? And I lied to her again. And I said no. And that's when I went to hide. And I fully intended to tell her the truth, because I could see it that she knew I was lying. I knew she knew I was lying. And I don't know how to process that. So I said those two things because they were almost. I was able to get away, but so many things go differently so fast. And when I listened to her speak about her experience, I realized that while Nita's so stupid, I'm telling, while I realized that it didn't go in a certain way, it could have. And I found myself in tears listening to her testimony today. I identified with her being naive, and I identified with, now, some people are like, well, did you tell your parents? No, I was ashamed. My shame was that I presented myself as this certain person, and now I was not that. It was a different kind of shame. It was just a different thing. I never told my mother about what happened with the boy that lived on the street. And I think eventually, somewhere in the future, I did tell my mom. And she just said, I know. I thought she would never trust me again just from lying. But it didn't really process out to me that I had put myself in so much danger. And that was what would have made her or hurt her the most. I wanted to say that because when I saw people start putting up Me Too, I know that it's almost privileged to be able to make it to adult life without being violated as a woman. But I also know that it was right there. It's like when you think back over, I almost had an accident, and you go, whew, that could have been an accident, I didn't see them. Versus when you have the accident, and you say, what could I have done to prevent it? I know, Nita, and you knew all the people, and you were the best big sister brother anybody could want. And I knew you would go beat everybody up, and I definitely wasn't going to tell you because you were going to defend me. But yeah, I feel stuff. So I don't have stories, but I want you all to know that were not able to escape. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about what happened to you. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. And that's pretty much it. I just I'm sorry it happened to you. Yes, and you're just finding out now. So a lot of times I just stay very quiet because I know it was only a matter of minutes, like, or seconds, or, you know, if I hadn't backed up at a moment and then turned a certain way. Both of these guys were like 6'7", 6'5". They were not small people. They were not small. It's not like, you know, I've always been a tall girl and a big girl, like just for my age or height or something, but there is no difference between, like, there's nothing that necessarily makes me different, or I don't know how to say it. I love you too. I knew you would know who they were, Nita. I didn't even tell my big sister. I didn't tell anybody. They were very well known. They were very handsome guys. Not people that you would think, oh, you can't go. I didn't. But I want to say, I'm just saying, when I see how this is what I feel. When I see how unbelievable, like how people do not believe, right? I say, what if something had happened different to me? Would anybody believe me? Would they say, well, why did you go in the house if nobody else was there? Would they say, well, why would you go take your mother's car somewhere when you're supposed to be somewhere else? It was the only thing that I ever did like that, ever. But I know that it would be used against me. And so I feel for those who have tried to talk. And I don't have your experiences. But I guess the only thing I can say is, excuse me, I'm sorry you didn't have a doorknob to get to. I'm sorry you didn't break away. I'm sorry you didn't. I'm sorry you didn't make it out of the room, out of the house. I'm sorry you weren't believed. I'm so sorry that you weren't believed. Thank you for indulging me. Sometimes when you don't go through the same things, thank you. It's as if people will try to diminish. But I am fully aware that 2 times that I know of, that could be me. So Nita Boo said, log on, Andrea. Your transparency has been helpful. Thank you. Love you too, Gwendolyn. Rita said, I look back at my own close encounter with a pedophile. Oops, that's not what I was trying to do. I'm trying to expand it and it won't let me. When I was 6, people don't realize how, and I can't make it open. It won't open for me. Jennifer, I'm crying with you. Thank you to hear someone cares. Well, my family didn't. It doesn't matter. Hugs. I love you guys. My heart goes out, and I don't know how to explain what that is. I guess it's empathy. Oh, she said log off. Log off. Thank you. I will log off now. But know that I appreciate you and I honor your journeys. Okay? And I believe you.